Hello everyone, and welcome to my game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Grekos, and I'm terribly sorry for mispronouncing that. Now he is in the Jean Bart, a tier 9 French battleship. He is on the map Islands of Ice in a 3-point domination game. There is a tier 10 carrier around, and there is 2 destroyers per team. Now the friendly destroyers chose the A and the C cap. Looks like the enemies are getting B for free, but that means there might not be anyone here stopping them at A. Well, I mean, there are some ships there, but if there is no destroyer inside, then the friendlies might just be able to flip that. It might that A has some very nice cozy islands, so the Asasha could just sit behind an island. And even if the Salem approaches and raiders, he should be safe. I mean, the Salem doesn't have the biggest raider range anyway, so the Asasha should be safe even if he's here in the open. And there's lots of battleships there, so Asasha might just enjoy this cap here. Now on the sea side, it looks that the enemies are pushing heavily in there with Missouri. The Cossack, I mean the Cossack could have sat on this side of the island, but I guess he got spooked by the heavy enemy presence. And the friendlies don't seem to be so willing to back up that Cossack. Hey, things are going reasonably well here at A so far. The friendly Iowa was a bit too aggressive there early on, I think, so he got quite a bit of damage, but he should be fine now behind this island, and he can now just heal up and recover. Now the enemy Sumo there seems to be going a bit too aggressive. And well, 3 pens there, pretty nice. Reload booster is activated, so he is trying to get the most of that juicy Isumo broadside. And well, I mean, luck isn't on his side, but the most important part is the Isumu seems to be going down. Now you don't really want to take your battleship early on and just charge into a massive enemy fleet in an open cap. Although the Isumu got away with it a lot better than I expected. So luck was definitely on the Isumu side there. But he is still getting pummeled pretty heavily. He's on fire currently. I think the friendlies will finish off said Isumu shortly. Meanwhile, C has lost the friendly destroyer, and the friendlies just weren't really all that happy to back up, I guess. The forces inside the cap.
L'équipe ennemie a pris l'avantage.
And finally the Isumo is gone. So the friendlies still have ships there that might delay the enemies, but you always have to be careful. If you've lost like one flank, then those people will slowly come and reinforce the other side. So this means the friendlies really want to deal with the few enemies here quite quickly. I mean, friendlies have sort of a ship advantage here. Yeah, and now they have an even bigger ship advantage. So, it's nice. So yeah, the friendlies really want to take care of those battleships and then go over towards the B side and hopefully reinforce the friendlies. Like, if there are still ships at sea, like in this southern position, and the friendlies will move over to B, then they catch the enemy in a crossfire, and that might very well seal the game. If the friendlies here linger too long, then not only will the enemies run away with points, but they risk losing the ships down there, and then he might be in a bad spot. So right now seems to be like a pretty reasonable point to just charge in. There is an Akizuki possibly coming this way, so gotta consider some torps. And Grekos is just holding his fire here, hoping for a good angle on that Friedrich, but I don't think that Friedrich is complying. But hey, here, damaged the gun turret, that's always nice. And now the enemy is turning. Will he reload in time? I mean, he might be able to get off one salvo against the broadside Friedrich. And while he probably won't Citadel Friedrich, might get those juicy pens. Or maybe not. Okay, so Akizuki is spotted. Friendly carrier is trying to intercept that destroyer. Grekos immediately swings his guns around. He's also using his speed boost here, it looks like. Maybe to reverse, just to stay outside of the Akisuki torpedo range. Now he's in a bit of an awkward spot because he doesn't want to show like much broadside towards the Akisuki or get closer, but he also really doesn't want to be broadside if the torpedo is coming around. And that Friedrich might just eat a lot of damage here. There you go. Now he's using his reload boost, although I'm afraid that Friedrich will escape regardless, but maybe he can use it to sink the Akisuki. Or maybe not. Okay, so that was unfortunately not the most useful reload booster, but it was worth a try, I suppose. But he dodged the torpedoes. Now, the friendlies by now are almost half... they almost have only half the points that the enemy do. And the friendlies are one ship behind. So the friendlies really should consider some aggressive moves there. Now, they still have ships there on the right side in the south, which might just stop the enemy from pushing too hard yet. Because if the enemy arrives here and catches the friendlies, it would be very, very bad. And it looks like the enemy team is not so happy about the Neptune. But Grekos finally decided it's time. The enemy battleships are on low health and he is going in. I mean, he is heavily under fire here. And somebody just seemed to penetrate quite a bit of him. But that's one enemy battleship down. He has high explosive loaded to help deal with an angled battleship. And he has a convenient island to protect him from torpedoes. Now this should finish off the Friedrich, hopefully. He's going back to armor piercing. I mean, he could have stayed high explosive in the hopes that he spots the destroyer again, but it's a very big if. And well, it looks like a destroyer might be low enough that armor piercing does the job anyway. Or maybe not. Or maybe not. That's sad. But maybe somebody can finish off that DD. The Asashi probably is firing angles there. And the Asashi did the job. Now next up, dodge Torps, deal with an Irian, and then maybe challenge the Missouri. Now, he's getting very low on his hit points, and his friendly Musashi, I think, is still pretty healthy. What he could try to do is let the Musashi take the lead, but he would have needed to stay behind that island earlier. If it stayed behind that island and just chopped into concealment and waited for another heal to be ready, that would have been the safer play, but I'm not sure it would have been the better play necessarily. And with a heal ready, would be a good time to press the heal button. Okay, here's the heal. So, as I was saying, like, he could have played this a bit safer. The problem is the enemy team has more points despite them having quite a few less ships right now. So the friendlies don't really have the time to take this slow. And can we get this Saint Louis? Yes, we can. So that's good. Now for the Missouri. Meanwhile, there's a Kagero there in the south, but I think the carrier is on the way to spot this guy, which means the friendlies might just be able to take care of them, which would be rather helpful. The enemy carrier is hunting down the lone battleship at the zone wall. And this Missouri is soon going down, I would say. Some nice salvo there. PD finishes off the Missouri. And it's looking rather decent right now. But you see, despite the heavy ship lead, the friendlies are still not really much ahead on points. Oh, there is the Neptune. That was the guy that the enemy team was complaining about, I think. Considering that the Neptune just emerged from the A-line, and it's I think the first time we've seen her, I can understand why the enemy was a bit frustrated with the Neptune. Although I wouldn't resort to insults in chat, to be honest. So, yeah, reload booster was running there, broadside Neptune, can we get juicy citadels? Yes, we can. And meanwhile, by the way, the enemy team has taken the lead again. Although that might, yeah, will it change when I sink the Neptune? I think the enemy will still be a bit in the lead there. But there is a high caliber. And it looks like the friendlies lost the Yoshino, but the Kagero got taken out. And there goes the Neptune. So the enemy is down to 2 ships, and the friendlies still have 6. And the enemy team still in the lead. But the friendlies will soon reach the B cap, and then they can change the flow of points, I guess. And the enemy team is still very unhappy with the Neptune. So, the enemy team needs sort of like, let's have a look around. Iowa seems pretty low. Of course, our Jean Bart is pretty low. The Midway should probably try to sink him here. The other ships, well, they will have a tough time if they want to bring this around. Although, like, if the carrier was smart, he would drop the Jean Bart. And if it come in here from the sides with a torp bomber, he probably would get the Jean Bart. Well, I mean, he'd have to be fast because the heal is ready soon. And then the Richelieu would probably need to abuse a broadside or 2. And then the enemy could still be in this game, but we've just seen that the carrier didn't really go for the weakened target. Didn't even send torpedo bombers. And you know, another heal is ready, so Jean Bart won't be such an easy target anymore. But enemy still in the lead. It's a little bit over 5 minutes left there. And the Richelieu managed the last second interrupt, taking this cap. But now it's in the hands of the friendly team. And well, the remaining friendlies are blobbing a bit here just to help against the anti-air, and because now they don't really need to split out anymore. Split up anymore. Yeah, Sasha could not just go grab the C cap if he wants to. And we've got the Richelieu peeking. Now reload booster is active and we get some juicy shots. Probably would have aimed slightly lower there. But I mean, he got the shatter and the bounce. Maybe the Richelieu isn't as broadsidey as it looked like for me. Yeah, that's very disappointing damage salvos there. So luck doesn't seem on Greco's side here. But I don't think he needs it anymore. Enemy team is still in the lead, by the way. But the friendlies are catching up rather quickly. But you can see, like, if the friendlies would have waited a minute or 2 longer, moving out from A, it would have probably cost them the game. Let's increase the speed here a little bit, shall we? So, and now the friendlies overtake them, and it's just 3 minutes left. The Richelieu goes down, the Midway is he finally trying to sink the Jean Bart? Yes, but he's way too late because now there were some heals there. And there was a Citadel, and yeah, the friendlies will just reach 1,000 points now. Yeah, with the results, Greco's earned himself 3072 base experience. Very nicely done. He achieved a Confederate devastating strike at Dreadnought the Kraken in the high caliber, scoring almost 250,000 points of damage and sinking 5 enemies. Now his push was a bit risky, but you saw it, how close it was in the end. If the friendlies reinforced the right side a little bit slower, the enemies would have gained an even greater points lead, and the enemies might have just sunk a ship or two more before the friendlies helped out. So, the push came just in time, and pretty nice battle. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.